Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Since this is all about just trying to be gentle to ourselves, I wanted to start with this tune. I watched a guy in an open mic, a guy who was, to become a friend. He was a regular, I was a regular at this open mic, and he came in, and he got up on stage once, and he just really blew it, and he knew he blew it, and it happens, but he was really just down on himself about it. So that week I went home and I wrote a song to play at the next open mic for him. And this is the song. It's called We All Take a Dive Sometimes. You can call it a fall from grace, a midlife crisis in any case. Call it what you will to try and save your face, but we all take a dive sometimes. No one is perfect, no life is pure. We shine and suffer in the world, that's sure. For it and ego I'd expect no cure, 'cause we all take a dive sometimes. And it's hard to imagine a world without mistakes. Would you take away compassion and leave nothing in its place? Not a chance to fall, there's nothing to compare. This life demands it all. If it's unfair, it's only fair. So sit and question, cry if you must cry. Anything to let the moment by. Don't you ever be afraid to try, 'cause we all take a dive sometimes. And it's hard to imagine a world without mistakes. Would you take away compassion and leave nothing in its place? Without a chance to fall, there's nothing to compare. This life demands it all. If it's unfair, it's only fair. Don't you ever be afraid to try, or even dream the dream to kiss your dreams goodbye. Just be the kind to look me in the eye, 'cause we all take a dive sometimes. Yeah, we all take a dive sometimes. Yeah, we all take a dive just to prove we're alive. All take a dive sometimes.
Thank you. That was the amazing Andrew Dunn. Thank you, Andrew. And my name is Lori Carlson. I'm a licensed practitioner here at the center, and whether you are here in person or joining us on live stream or watching us in replay on YouTube or Facebook, we are glad you are here. Please, if you're online, let us know you're here, make comments, chat, send us hearts, share, whatever you can do so that we know you're a part of this community. So the theme for this year is A Grand Rising, and the theme for this month is Giant Gentleness. Oh, I love that. And Reverend Frankie's talk this morning is called Treading Gently. So I'm going to start us out with our Namaste practice this morning. So I invite you all to bring your hands together in front of your heart and to really internalize the idea of that the divinity within you recognizes and honors the divinity in each other. And so I invite you to turn to someone and to say Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. And remember, this is a giving and a receiving. So you are seeing the other and you are being seen. So just really internalize what that feels like. I know I love to be seen. So now we're going to start, what we always do, with an opening spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. And affirmative prayer is not a begging or a beseeching to a God outside of ourselves, but rather a recognition of spiritual truth and that inner Christ consciousness that wants to be expressed as each of us and the oneness of all of life. So I invite you to close your eyes and to hear these words as if they were your own. And so right here, right now, in this beautiful space of community, where we celebrate oneness, where we celebrate the oneness of all life, and recognize the one power and presence that is at the heart of all life, that is love itself, ever wishing to express itself in, as, and through each of us. I know that I am one with this being. I know that I am one with this divine flow of love, as is each one here and each one listening. We are all just unique expressions of this one divine source. And we are here to gently and with kindness remember that, and to express that in everything we think, do, and say. And so I affirm that this celebration today, this talk, these practices, this beautiful music, all of it allows us to be more gentle with ourselves and with each other, to come from a place of loving compassion that exudes from us out into the world, but it needs to start with ourselves. And so we extend that loving kindness, that gentle love of spirit to our own selves so that we can show up in the world and for each other. Because that is what this community is, right? Love in action. And so I know that all of us are empowered and uplifted to go out and be a greater expression of love in action as we are gentle with ourselves along the way, letting go of anything that stands in the way of our separateness, of making us think we're separate, of our oneness with spirit, because we are love. And so with deep gratitude for this teaching, for this time together, and for the blessings of community, I release this word into that ever-present and loving law that must demonstrate it. And so I let it go. I let it be. And I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is. So, we're changing it up, the order today. So I am going to start us off. Reverend Frankie told me that when the topic was treading gently. And so I started to write a poem. And some of the language is not that gentle, so just bear with me. But it is about really being gentle with your past self and understanding that we need to extend that gentleness to ourselves. So I hope you enjoy it. It's called Gentle Pain at the moment, anyway. Today, I apply the salve of self-acceptance and not the ointment of annoyance, as in days past, to soothe the scrapes of stumbling over the hard, concrete surfaces of consciousness and losing my footing. That which always oozed out in ugliness from even behind the most kid-friendly bandages of bright color and design and stained my favorite soft yellow sweater, no matter how much I tried to place the tabs correctly, to cover the bruised edges of skin, bleeding and torn from troubles still unseen and still festering. But today, I kiss with gentle kindness the blue-black abrasions from pushing too hard and too fast into a world of strobe lights and disco balls that never felt like a place I belonged or really wanted to be. Yet, I jammed myself into those spaces anyway, between shoulders of others who maybe felt the same way, yet so stuck on the pose, the appearance, the makeup thick and hiding the bruises that just required a gentle touch rather than pancake layers of denial and the bright red gloss of glamour pretended on lips still afraid to speak the truth. Yet, gentle whispers floated amidst this retinue of regulars, just waiting and wanting to be heard. The sycophants of the false surged forward like bodies bouncing off each other in the mosh pit of life, still denying the hurt and the harm of impact on hearts so long hidden from the harshness of our world with a toughness that is no longer teaching or protecting, but rather holding us back, demonstrating denial like the drunk tipping yet another bottle of acrid booze into a sour belly of blame and shame. Yet it's a comfortable corner of consciousness for those unwilling to uncover and face the truth that is ever present, ever waiting to be revealed, ever available to be healed with a softly spoken word from an open heart that brings that clear air of confidence that comes from knowing when to put down the make-believe and step into the real. The real you, the real me, without costume or confusion or self-criticism, but with the open arms we all seek and that we need to extend to ourselves first. So like puppies, we can wag our tails and snuggle into that feeling of home that comes with that first gentle pat on the head that we stretch our own arms to make, to connect with ourselves with gentle compassion and maybe a rawhide treat or bowl of warm milk. I hope you enjoyed that. So now we're going to do a little practice, okay? Last week, Gail led us, I don't know if you were all here, but last week Gail led us in a practice that included an actual physical movement to really cement the practice, and this one is going to do the same. So we're going to start with a meditation, and then I'm going to invite you to move with it a little bit. So I invite you now to close your eyes, and we are going to bring into our awareness with this first breath, just settling in and bringing into our awareness something or someone for which you feel an easy, effortless, gentle kindness or compassion. Not someone that brings up complicated feelings. Could even be that puppy from the poem. Something that just warms your heart and just is easy to love, easy to feel that warm glow. Do you have that image? Whatever it is, whoever it is, might be a grandchild or an infant or a puppy or a kitten, whatever it is for you. Just hold that image in your consciousness and breathe into that feeling. That deep feeling of compassion, of warmth, of easy love, no judgment, no criticism, just an overflowing from your heart. Now, whatever that image is, I invite you to gently place them on a chair in front of you. Vision a chair right in front of you and put this image there. And we're going to create a flow from your heart to that person or puppy or whatever. Just see a gentle, like, cloud of softness that protects and envelops this person, this puppy, with your love, with that love that just rises up in your heart and now flows effortlessly and easily back and forth. Just be in the flow of that feeling. Let it fill you up, flow out from you and flow back. It is just love. Gentle, kind, compassionate, no struggle, no complication, just love. Are you there? Do you feel it? This gentle cloud of kindness and softness, almost like a marshmallow of love that we're in. Okay, now we're going to change who's sitting in the chair in front of you. Now I invite you to see in that chair and in that cloud and in that flow, keeping that vibration of love, keeping that vibration and that frequency of gentle, loving kindness. Place in that chair a version of yourself that needs your love. It might be an older version of yourself as you face growing older, that's full of fear perhaps. It might be a younger version of yourself, one that you judged harshly or that you never quite made peace with. It could be the inner child, the child version of yourself that just needs to be loved and accepted. Or it could be your present self that you are still judging, that you are still not totally loving unconditionally. Whatever it is for you, place that version or that image or that aspect of yourself on that chair, in that flow of love, in that marshmallow feeling of surrounded by comfort and kindness and gentle giving love. And let's just take a few breaths here, breathing in, filling up with that gentle, warm light of love, and exhaling it out and directing it specifically to that other version of yourself. And inhaling, filling up, and exhaling, circulating it around, embracing, surrounding that other version of yourself with that same loving energy that you felt for that puppy or that grandchild or whoever was first in the chair. That uncomplicated, unconditional, gentle, loving energy. With each breath, you breathe it in and you send it out to that version of yourself. Do you feel it? And now, we're going to do the motion I told you about. And so I invite you all to open your arms wide. Open your arms wide and invite that earlier or future or child part of yourself, whoever's sitting in that chair, invite them into your loving embrace. Invite them into your arms. And then close your arms, enveloping them into a hug, and hug yourself. Maybe just rock here, hugging yourself, bringing that aspect of yourself that was in need of your love and your kindness and your gentle attention into your loving heart. Uniting your divine self with your human self. Uniting all the aspects of yourself with acceptance, with forgiveness, with unconditional love. And then gently pat yourself on the shoulder, on the back, and just say, I love you. It's okay. I love you. I've got you. And just try to internalize what that feels like to really embrace every aspect of yourself. Do you feel it? Do you feel warm and loved and empowered by your own loving attention to those aspects of yourself that need it? So, on the next breath, I invite you to release your hug if you want to. You could stay hugging yourself if you so choose, and to return your attention back to the room. And to just come back to this moment. And I want to remind you that this is a practice you can do anytime. Giving yourself a hug, recognizing those aspects of yourself that are human, that need your loving attention, that deserve your gentle kindness. It's so much easier for us to give that gentle kindness to others, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But we need it, and we are deserving of it. And so I encourage you to take a few moments in your day, in your week, and to just give yourself a hug and say, I love you, Lori. It's okay. No, you don't say I love you, Lori. I love you, and insert your name. But just remind yourself, and just come from that loving, unconditional heart. And now we will have some music, right?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Wow. Trying to go from that to that. All right, go. All right, well, this is not when you're in that state of mind.
Good. Shake it up.
Yeah, I wanted to shake it up a little bit because you guys know me by now a little bit, hopefully. And you know that life isn't always, just be nice to yourself and stuff. This was one of those, like, you know what? Just do your own thing and leave me alone. It's called Do No Harm. I can't seem to get my shit together. It's like trying to tell the weather. I never get it right. I can't stand to listen to the news. People sharing different views, but they always want to fight. Whatever works for you, so you can rest your head at night. Whatever gets you through. But if you do no harm and you don't bug me, it's alright. Baby, it's alright. We've all been there, right? Well, there's no such thing as a wrong side of the tracks. We all get our 40 whacks. We all take a dive. We're in the same water, but we all have different boats. Or you grab whatever floats just to keep yourself alive. Whatever gets you through, so you can rest your head at night. Whatever works for you, and if you do no harm and you don't bug me, it's alright. Baby, it's alright. I tried to meditate, I tried to pray, I tried to raise my voice so I'd be heard. I read a book by Aristotle, but I couldn't understand a word. No, I couldn't understand a word. Well, it takes years just to find a way to do it, to muddle your way through it and not end up in jail. Some drink water, some drink tea, some drink wine, that's fine by me. If life is a hammer, you're the nail. Whatever works for you, so you can rest your head at night. Thank you. Thank you.
Baby, it's all right. Do I smell today? Everybody sits in the back.
It's the music, I think.
It's the music, it's
It
you.
must be the ointment of irritation. Is that what you said? The
It's-
ointment of irritation?
It's Lori.
That's great.
That was lovely, Lori.
Yes.
Really lovely. So here we are. Lots going on, right? Wow, there's a lot going on. What is getting your attention lately or right now? What's getting your attention with lots going on?
The earthquake.
The earthquake! My goodness, at the kitchen counter. What else?
Eclipse.
The eclipse.
Just dated.
Everybody else has nothing going on. Huh?
I said I don't even want to say politics.
Politics, of course. I mean, my gosh, I'd be worried if nobody said that. Thank
Trump
you.
selling Bibles.
Trump selling Bibles.
Oh, God.
What else? What else is getting your attention?
Climb.
Climate.
Climb.
Crime. Crime, yes. What else?
The grass is greening.
The grass is greening. Yes, the blossoms are out. The magnolia made it with 2 nights of a freeze.
Yay.
Last year, they didn't make them in our neighborhood. They made it.
Oh, nice.
The cherry blossoms, right? Go to Branchbrook Park. It's peaking. What else got your attention?
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking, human trafficking. Yes, right? And so we just have finished Lent. I did a Lent practice this year. I'm doing a Ramadan practice this year, which ends today. There was all the holidays, mostly the Christian holidays, some Hindu holidays. So I was in Florida taking care of my friend who had a medical challenge, and I was grateful to be able to go to that. And so there's a lot going on, right? So that means that when there's a lot going on and a lot of things are getting your attention and your heart aches about it, or your heart sings about it, either way, it's always an invitation to go back to our spiritual practices. Because whenever we're in the world of opposites, the world of separation, no matter what your opinion is about it, you're going to be pulled and you're going to feel that tug. It's going to get your attention and it's going to distract you from who you really are and what is yours to be and to do, which involves self-love, self-care, taking the steps to work with all the things that pull our attention away from our essential nature. So I would say there's a lot going on, but there's lots of grist for the mill if you are on a spiritual path, which I'm just going to make an assumption that's all of us here. That's all of you online. And that means that we have a more intense call, a more intense sense of having to do something, wanting to do something, wanting to be balanced, wanting to be centered, wanting more peace. But the thing is, our ego mind loves the drama. It loves to talk about trauma. Right now, everybody is experiencing trauma or PTSD, ADHD, all the opposites, which I'm not minimizing them. But they are also a symptom that we have lost a connection to our essential self that is unharmed with the center of our very being, and that we are in deep need of practicing those sacred spiritual practices that we all already know. You know, you can ask anyone and say, what brings you peace? People will say nature, meditation, reading a good book. As most of you know, I teach meditation in jail, and whenever there are new people in my group, I say, do you know anything about meditation? Most of the time they say no. Then I say, well, what do you think it is? What do you imagine it is? And they never give me a wrong answer. Because they always say something like, oh, it's dealing with stress, it's turning away from the world, it's quieting your mind, it's centering your body. They're always right. Even though they may have never practiced it and don't know what it is, inherently we know what we need to do to bring ourselves back to the center, back to the sacred, back to the stillness. And then we practice so we can be there a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And then what happens is that becomes our default instead of the drama, trauma, distractions, and all the challenges that we're dealing with, even when we're in the midst of them. And so the more that we feel the distractions and the stresses of the world, the more our soul, our spirit is saying, hey, come back here. Come over here. Stay in the center. Listen to your heart of hearts. Meditate. Do yoga. Go in nature. Do the things that are good for us. Drink more water. Eat better food. Whatever it may be, right? And so what we do is we keep going back to the simple practices that we know. We keep coming back to home base. We keep going back to the basics. And sometimes that is something so simple and so, could have had a V8, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we do when we're on a spiritual path. That's a responsibility we don't just have for ourselves, but we have for our loved ones. And we have for all of humanity. Because I don't know about you, but I'd love to go work for World Kitchen in Gaza, but I don't think that's on my radar right now. So I can sit and practice my own peace practices, do my own meditation, pray for humanity, right? And so we use our everyday experiences, we use our everyday life as a guide to what wants and needs to happen at a spiritual level, at a soul level, at an inner level. We just notice what distractions rise to the surface. And we go, oh, hi, there you are. Because the ego also has the tendency to go, oh, I can't look at that, I don't want to see that, it's too painful, it's too hard, I'm too worried, I'm too anxious. So if we, from a spiritual perspective, just look at that and notice like, oh God, I'm like in a major opinion rampage on Facebook right now about so-and-so. Let me just step back. Because you know Facebook is a spiritual practice, right? And so we notice and then we invite ourselves to tread gently. How can I tread more gently in my day-to-day living, my day-to-day experience, my awakening? Before I wake up and get out of bed, I love the practice that Gail did. It was so wonderful, right? Easter Sunday, that practice before you get out of bed. How can I be more gentle today with myself and my loved ones? How can I tread more gently? The beauty is that there's a part of us that already knows. We don't have to go to therapy for 10 years. We don't have to go get a coach. We don't have to even ask a practitioner or me. Something in us already knows. We just need to be willing to listen long enough. And so when we get overwhelmed, we can say, what's the gentlest, easiest thing for me to do right now so I can be back to center in the very truth of my being. And so that's what's called shadow work in some spiritual psychological circles. It's just being willing to notice what gets in the way of self-love, of peace, of harmony, of our essential self, of our true self, and make it about an invitation of a spiritual principle to be practiced. Instead of trying to figure out the answers, trying to change somebody else's opinion. One of the things I noticed on Facebook is that when I start trying to give my opinions, I realize I'm already preaching to the choir. Because most of my Facebook friends think like I do, mostly, right? So it's interesting to notice, I on purpose have people on Facebook that have completely different opinions. Because when I look at their posts, I can look inside and say, there I am, distracted, judgmental, fearful, anxious, worried. And that then, in that moment, becomes my spiritual practice, where I can step back and work with that. So the shadow work is not to avoid and deny where we get challenged, where we struggle, where we suffer, where our attention is drawn away, pulled away, where we feel grief, where we feel heartache. But it's to tend to it in a more gentle way, a way that is already available to us within us, because it's this sacred self, it's the soul self. And in my humble opinion, that the only problem that's happening in our world is that we have collectively forgotten that life is sacred. That's all it is. And so that's just an invitation to the sacred within ourselves, because that's the only place where we can do anything. It's turn to that sacred within ourselves and give it life again, gently. One practice at a time, one bite at a time, one snippet at a time. So I want to do a little practice. I have a question for you. What is the worst thing that anybody has ever said to you? Something that really hurt, something that felt like an insult. Anybody?
I don't care about you.
I don't care about you. Good one. None of you have had any? Do I have to give all of mine? What's the worst thing anybody's ever told you?
Actually, the worst thing anybody ever told me was that I was mean, because
You're
I don't
mean.
think of myself as mean
Yes,
at all.
doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You're mean.
Yeah.
You're mean. I don't care about you. What else?
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
You're not who I wanted you to be.
You're not who I wanted you to be.
You're the coldest person I've ever known.
You're the coldest person I've
Wow.
ever known. You're so cold. You're mean. I don't care about you.
My daughter once told me, you're always going to be alone.
You're always going to be
Nobody likes you and you'll always be alone.
You're always going to be alone. You're not lovable. How about you're fat? Anybody ever had that one?
No.
You're fat.
How about you're a beanbag with googly eyes?
You're a beanbag with googly eyes. Anybody else? Anybody else? I want to hear from somebody else who hasn't said anything yet. What's the worst thing that anybody's ever told you?
You bully through my boundaries.
You bully through my boundaries. Wow.
I know.
Right? We've all had something, right? So, the next question is, have you ever thought that about yourself or felt that about yourself? Yes. I am here to guarantee you yes. In some way, shape, or form, right? When my brother said to me, "You got fat," I was so mad at him for 2 years. I wrote letters, wanted an apology, how much he insulted me. And then all of a sudden I went, I've said it to myself 1,000 times standing in the mirror. So heal that, right? So when somebody gives us an insult, first of all, we say, is that true? Yes or no. If it's a yes, that's grist for the mill. If it is, well, I've said that one to myself 100 times already, that is even more powerful shadow work. Because in some way, shape, or form, that's how we speak to ourselves at times. Right, Lori? Her beautiful practice? I had an interesting experience with that. I'm going to digest it before I even talk about it. It was like, oh, okay. So I want all of us to pay attention to the voice of the critic inside, which, by the way, is the voice of your ego, your massive, massive ego. Remember the part of us that loves drama, trauma, being overwhelmed? It does, because it's afraid of silence. It's afraid of feeling peace because it doesn't trust it. So we want to notice the ways that we judge ourselves quietly, and notice that and heal that, because it does become the collective consciousness. Just watch commercials about beauty stuff, about how we're all supposed to stay young and look young and be thin and be rich and all that. So commercials are really interesting ways that get to our subconscious mind about how we're not good enough, how we are just not good enough, not smart enough, not young enough, not pretty enough, not creative enough. All those little voices that happen in our consciousness are important to notice, because if we don't notice them, they're still there. If we don't use them and work with them, they're going to take over in some way, shape, or form. And then we do have plenty of trauma to report. And so we want to pay attention to what it is that we say to ourselves and then get really gentle. So let's say I weigh 600 pounds and this voice inside of me says, "You're fat." Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, true. So that's true with a small t, because truth with a capital T is my spirit. It knows not of weight, place, space, time. But that is then telling me I need to start taking care of my health, unless I want to die. I mean, I don't know if that's the way I want to die, but so we begin to pay attention to that and we begin to get really honest with it so that we can have grist for the mill about our next spiritual practice or our next spiritual work. And so I have this wonderful picture. It happens to still be packed away since I moved in with Norman 9 years ago. But it's a beautiful picture that somebody gave me after counseling sessions when they were going through a challenging time. And it's a beautiful woman. It's, what do you call that? When it's not realistic, it's
Idealized.
Impression.
impressionist, kind of an impressionist, thank you, Steve. Impressionist picture of a woman. She's sitting on the mountain and is just holding a feather. And the artist is Mara Berendt Friedman. And it says, "Be strong as a mountain. Be gentle as a feather." Be strong as a mountain. Be gentle as a feather. The truth is, with a capital T, we're already are both. We already are both. If we weren't both, we would not have survived the things that you and I have survived. And if I had you make a list of all the things you had survived, there would still be things that you had not put on that list because you don't even think about it, you don't even realize it, you're not even aware of it. We're all so much more resilient than we think we are. We're so much stronger than we think we are. We are so much more that mountain that we think we are, and we also have within us the capacity to be very gentle. Maybe not always with ourselves. Maybe not with the loved ones that are difficult to love, but we know we've been there with our pets. We know we've been there with our lovers, our beloveds, our children, maybe only when they were babies. I don't know, I don't have any, thank God. So it's like really noticing, where have I experienced that deep gentleness? And where do I experience my strength? And how can I bring them both to life? That makes all of us practitioners. In our teaching, we talk about practitioners, but those are the licensed practitioners like Laurie and me and Gail and Reverend Janice that have studied for many years this teaching so that we can be of support to others, right? Like spiritual counselors, but we do spiritual mind treatment, our word for affirmative prayer. But you and I, we're all practitioners of some spiritual wisdom, whether it's the science of mind teaching or anything else. And so what we do is, as a practitioner, in our teaching, we turn to the truth within, and we speak from that truth to our human nature. So spiritual mind treatment is really saying, oh, I'm noticing my humanness, beautiful song, Andrew, and there is also spirit within me, so let me speak from spirit. Let me speak the truth from spirit. Let me listen to that inner voice and speak from that. So even if you don't know how to do a spiritual mind treatment, which is kind of boggling to me, you can do an affirmation. Anybody here not know what an affirmation is? Everybody knows affirmations, right? Just keep doing an affirmation, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, until you realize that that little truth, the voice of the critic, little t truth, is not as loud. And the voice of our spirit becomes louder and clearer and more persistent and more insisting. So what are some of the things that we can do that doing an affirmation, speak to a practitioner, notice the voice of the critic, be willing to listen. Because you know what happens a lot is the reason people struggle with addictions is because they're trying to shut up the voice of the critic, right? I don't want to hear that. I'll have a pint of ice cream. I don't want to hear that. I'm going to have sex with somebody. I don't want to hear that. I'll just have a drink. I don't want to hear that. Let me just go for a run, right? We do all this crazy stuff to not hear that voice of the critic. And so the spiritual practice thing to do is to say, all right, I'll listen to you. Let me just listen to what you have to say. Personally, I write it down because, I like to punish myself. No, just kidding. I write it down because then it's outside of me and then I can see it and then I can go, oh, hi, you're still there? I know you. I've known you for 60 years. You're very familiar to me. I've heard that voice over and over again, especially when I'm challenged. So befriend that voice, because it's in befriending it, it's going to be heard. And once it's heard, you can work together. You can ask him, what do you need, honey? So sorry you feel that way. Just like you would with the dearest person in your life. When they're struggling and they're hurting and they're saying to you, I'm really starting at my job. You don't say, well, you're stupid. You don't know what you're doing. We don't do that ever, right? Well, maybe some of you do. I doubt that, but maybe. Right? We go, oh, honey, you're amazing. You got this. How can I support you? What can I do? And most of the time, right, it's just to be heard, to be seen, to listen. So begin by noticing the voice of the critic and befriend it because it has information for you. It has a need. It has a request. And those needs, those requests are usually very simple, very basic ways that we can meet their needs. And so if we don't do that, I notice that that part of us becomes a toxicity in us, and it affects our health, mental, physical, and emotional. So we find out the insults that we've experienced, and those are the ones that we befriend and listen to and are guided by and work with until they shift. Because the shift in life is from truth with a small t to truth with a capital T. Embracing our humanness until our soul, our spirit, takes over. And then that falls away more and more and more. And so it's about turning it into a spiritual practice instead of continuing the spiritual bypass, which just creates more suffering. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yes, right? And so what we're doing then is we're remembering who we really are. We're remembering how amazing we are. And we remember that our lives, each of our lives, are so gloriously unique, so gloriously conducive to our own spiritual evolution. I don't know what happens when I die, but I'm inspired to not repeat certain behaviors that don't serve me anymore because I worry that I'm going to take them with me into the next experience, and I'm not interested. That's why I work so hard. Well, and it's not that hard, right? Because what happens when we use these tools, we realize they're so much easier than we ever thought they were. So I keep hearing music like a choir is singing. Do you guys It's next door?
I don't know
That
what you're talking
service is
about.
over at
Yeah.
10:30, so they must be rehearsing. I'm like, what? So now, before we're going to have a little more music with Andrew, I just want to let you know a couple of announcements because we have some wonderful things coming up. I'm starting the third, because it's so popular and I love it so much, the third Untethered Soul book discussion group. This time it's on Zoom. We already have about 10 people that signed up from all over the country. Some are colleagues, some are practitioners, which is really going to be wonderful. So that's going to be on Wednesday nights, April 17th. We're using the book Untethered by Michael Singer, and I highly recommend that you get the journal because it's very powerful. And it's going to be on Zoom, Wednesday nights from 6:30 to 8. The flyers are over there, if those of you who are here, so grab a flyer. I invite you to sign up early, so that helps me in preparation. But you can sit at home in your boxers or your underpants. You know, you don't have to go anywhere. The last two were in person on Sunday, so we're doing midweek. Also, Arlene over there in the cute bun in the green outfit is doing a photography as a spiritual practice. This is not going to be online anywhere, which is her preference, but it's going to be Saturday, May 11th, the day before Mother's Day. Great time to take some beautiful pictures for Mama. And it's going to be in Willowwood. So if you have any questions, talk to Arlene, but they're going to meet at 10:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. and bring a camera or just your cell phone. And then we have on April 27th, together with the Brookside Community Church and, what's the other group? They have a spiritual group. They're doing Dances of Universal Peace with Andre Bernard. That's on April 27th. It's a Saturday. It's from 1 to 2:30 p.m. The flyers are out there on the little bookshelf. And then the last thing I want to tell you about is that there was a potluck here last month. How many of you came to the potluck? It was a huge success. So they're repeating it. It's going to happen on May 17th. And please let either Kathy Ronka or Jean Lee know that you're coming, and it's going to be here again. It's Spring into Friendship and Community Fun.
What day is that?
That is going to be May 17th. It's a Friday. And the flyers are over here, so you are welcome to pick up the flyers. Lori kind of reminded me that we haven't been making a lot of announcements about our annual meeting and all the preparation that is taking place, except maybe for once. So May 5th, yes, Cinco de Mayo, we will not have margaritas probably, or maybe we will. We're having our annual meeting, so you're all invited to come to that. It's a really important meeting, happens once a year. We share all our reporting from the last year, and we're going to do some work again with Christine Goldthwaite. That is about who are we today and who do we want to become as we go through this transition with my leaving the end of the year. And Janice, Reverend Janice, is now on the Leadership Council. She's been appointed to an empty seat. If anyone here who's a member would love to serve on the Leadership Council, we would love to have you. There is a process. There is a questionnaire you fill out, and then there's an interview, and all that is to see if it's a good fit. So if you're interested in serving, we would love to have you let us know that you're interested. Michael resigned from the Leadership Council. He has so much happening, and he just needed a break, and he's been an incredible blessing. He'll be at our annual meeting so we can celebrate him, and I'm so proud of him for what he's given, how he has served, and how he decided that he doesn't have it to give of what needs to be given to serve on the Leadership Council. So send your love to him. We also have Science of My magazine for this month, because now it's 2 months at a time. Oh my gosh, there's so many great articles in this. And we still have a couple of the journals, so come and get them from me. I think that's it.
Treatment Express.
Yes, Lori will do the Treatment Express. What that means is you get a quickie treatment. A quickie treatment where if you want more and you want to tell your story and your whole life even, then you need to make an appointment with any of our practitioners, which is Gail, Lori, myself, and the Reverend Janice. But today, it's like, tell her what you want treatment for, and she'll go for it, because you know how she goes for it. She just loves to treat, and she just, wow, awesome. And now let's take a moment to feel have this feeling of gratitude for this community, for this teaching, for this center. Just take a moment, put your hand on your heart, and just let that gratitude sink in. whatever it is, whether it's a spiritual community or just coming on a Sunday or maybe volunteering, or if you say, I'd love to volunteer, just let somebody know, one of the practitioners or me, because there's always a place for you to serve. Or maybe you're done and you want to take a break. Just feel all that, all the gifts from being part of this community. Now open your eyes. And one way, there are many ways to say thank you to this community, but one way is your financial support. So we're going to pass the basket, and if you wish to give today, it's not an obligation. If you wish to give today, and I know many of you give online via texting or Venmo or the website, it's not an expectation, it's just an opportunity for you to say, I'm so grateful, I want to support this center. If you're not giving today because you give differently or you can't, just place your hand over the basket and just bless this community, bless its abundance, and bless all that everybody else is giving. And if you're using checks, just pass it around, it will come back to you. And let's repeat this affirmation together. I am grateful for the abundance I'm already experiencing. And my body, mind, and soul is open to the greater good. This affirmation simply prepares it. And I welcome it with an open heart and open hands. And so it is. All right. We usually don't flip things around, but I like to surprise myself and all of you. Yes, so we're going to do a closing treatment, and then we'll have Andrew do another song for us. All right, so let's know this. And I'm doing a healing treatment, and I use the word I, my, me, simply because I'm speaking from my higher self to all of our higher selves in the place where there's only the oneness of all life. So I invite you to hear the I am as your own I am, your own higher self. So right here, right now, as I become still, I open my mind and my heart to the truth at hand. The truth that Spirit in, as, around, through, and for me is ever giving from this place of absolute fullness and wholeness. And I get to be on the receiving end. I know it's like a funnel where the opening at the top is infinite and the spout at the bottom may be a little more finite. But I'm still willing to receive all the good that the universe is offering to me. And in my acceptance, I find a greater sense of self-love, self-worth, self-acceptance, and the welcoming of more ease and grace in my life, in my world, in my body, in my mind, in my heart. I am willing to let go of whatever is in the way. I don't even need to be conscious of it. If I am or where I am not, I simply allow myself to set the tone for a willingness to let go of whatever is in the way and to experience the greater freedom that the universe is already experiencing in the divine flow in and through me. And so I just remember to feel blessed for all that I am, for all that I have, for all that I do, and the letting go of this idea that it isn't enough, because it's an infinite idea in the mind of God. So how can it not be perfect as it is right now? And how can I not have hope and willingness and faith and trust to continue to be in a divine flow, and to trust its unfolding by means of me. And so all that's left is to be grateful for my life, because my life is perfect for my spiritual unfolding. This acceptance frees me in a way that nothing else frees me. And I can trust it more today. And so it is.
Okay. So, I was married for 18 years, and when the marriage ended, I did a lot of self-examination and was very gentle to myself, which was good and very helpful, and I highly recommend it. However, after a while I got tired of it. Because I was like, and the line that came to me was, I'm tired of being human. I'd rather be right the first time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just tired of being, so gentle, and it's like, just do it right the first time, for goodness sake. And I ended up with this horrible song. I'll just apologize for now, but it's fun. And it has that line. I'm the blackest of sheep and the whitest of town. To say I stick out would be dumbing it down. People start to talking and the word gets around. I'm not gonna make it if I stay with these clowns. Everybody knows me here, I can't catch a break. All the ladies know me as their latest mistake. Well, chances for a better life are not looking great, so I'm looking for a lover with an out-of-state plate. She can be ugly and a little overweight,